I have played Bravery Default, Flying Fairy HD Remaster. Yes, it has a long name. Played it on the Switch too. This is developed and published by Square Enix. We're here to talk about it, man. We're here to give my review on it. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Ed here, coming at you with another review. Today we're reviewing Bravery Default Flying Fairy HD Remake. I'm probably just going to call it Bravery Default Remake at this point, or Remaster. For some disclosure, I ain't never beat a Bravery Default game till this game. I have played both of them, but I ain't never beat any of them, especially the first one back on the original Switch. I didn't really play that game a whole lot, so when they announced the remaster on the Switch 2, I knew your boy gonna have to play something on the Switch 2. So it was the perfect time to try the game out. So I did. Shout out to Square Enix for the code. Now, I played this game for about 50 hours. Put a lot of time into this game. You guys don't know my background. I have a huge background when it comes to games in job-based system games. Final Fantasy Tactics. I've played a lot of these job-like games. I particularly enjoy them because I feel like they give me a lot of freedom in terms of what's going on in this. So, first thing I want to talk about is the story. Essentially, you are on a journey to save the world by activating all the crystals, blah, blah, blah. We've seen this story before. Not quite. There is some stuff about the story that is unique that I feel gives to the game, but also takes away from the game. And what do I mean by that? Most of these type of games, they're pretty straightforward. You need to go through, you need to activate all the crystals, and every time you activate a crystal, you restore whatever element that crystal is doing in the world. For instance, the fire crystal, you'll start all the fires back up, or have the fires recede. The fire's out of control. Water, the waters will start, being usable again. The wind will start blowing again when you take the wind crystal. Every crystal is doing something dramatic to the story. This game does have something different, dramatically different, and I'm a little down the middle. I do think the situation that was going on was awesome. I like the overall concept of the game. In my personal opinion, I just feel like they could have done a better job in terms of executing it. A lot of reused dialogue in this game, and I'm trying to stay away from the spoiling territories, but you guys will know once you beat this game what I mean by reusing dialogue. Now look, is it the end of the world? No. There is reasons why these things are being reused, but in my personal opinion, they could have found other ways of handling this. Using the same mini game over and over again when you could literally just skip it at this point. Another big issue I had with this game was they have these like mini games in the store, kind of like mini games that you use the Joy-Cons with, these things. And the issue was not the mini game themselves, but I was playing a Pro controller. So every time I accidentally went in to this mini game, what would end up happening is I'd have to get up, I'd have to walk over to my Switch 2, and I have to pull these bad boys out, and you would have to like physically use it to close out of whatever you're in, because you couldn't use the Pro controller, this thing, because I did get the Pro controller. You couldn't use it to get out, and I don't get that. You couldn't even go back to the main menu of the Switch 2. You were literally locked on this screen unless you got up and did that. You couldn't even push the home button, which is wild to me. But besides that, I actually think that the story was a solid experience. In my opinion, they could have executed it a little bit better. But I'm not going to take away from it too much. I still really, really invested into the story. There is a lot of substance that you find out about this story. It's just there's certain aspects that I felt like they could have done better. Gameplay in the systems of Bravery Default Remaster. It's got classic turn-based You guys know that classic Final Fantasy. If you've played Bravery Default games, you know that as well. Kind of like a different version of Octopath Traveler. I beat both the Octopath Travelers too. Now, obviously, these two systems are different, but they're unique in a lot of same aspects. Job systems very flexible, and it's extremely experimental. You could really play this game however you want to. It's got your typical main job, your secondary job, and what I like about it is it really lets you build on these jobs that you want to do. So, for instance, there's a variety of mages in the game, but if you like the typical black mage more than you like some of the more higher level mages, you could use the higher level mages, get some of their passive abilities, and bring those passive abilities over to the black mage, and you can make the black mage extremely broken. In the end, I think I had a black and a white mage all lumped into one person, and their primary source was either to do massive damage by switching some of the passives up, or if I felt like I wasn't able to do the damage that I needed done, then what I would do is I would switch it to more of a support class by just moving a couple of the passives away, where instead of being able to just do serious damage, I would be able to cast Protect and Shell on everyone on a whim. I really enjoy the gameplay of this game. It kept me hooked. I'm not going to lie. There is 4 characters. There's no more than 4 characters. They all have their own unique story, so which is interesting in that. And it's like, I brought up the story a couple times, but I want to really vocalize because I feel like maybe you guys think I'm being a little bit too negative on the story. The story's good. Every character's got their own unique way of handling things. And in terms of gameplay with these characters, they're pretty much the same person. It's a blank canvas that you can handle however you want. My recommendations, if you play this game, is really tool what you need when you're in battle and you feel like you're losing a bunch. Figure out what is leading to those defeats, and then go from there and use one of the other characters to make up for that lost ground. So, for instance, I had a really good black and white mage combined, but I realized when it comes to system wipes where they were killing majority of my team, because it can get like that. Some of the bosses in this game is crazy. They can kill your whole team in 1 or 2 turns, especially if you brave too many times. And for those of you that don't know what the Bravery Default, special little mechanic is, you have essentially a meter that goes up and down, either positive or negative. If you're in the negative by braving too much, what ends up happening is, let's say I brave 3 times. So I can go 3 different times, but you have to go up just because you went down to do the braves. So for you'd have to wait 3 turns for that specific character to go again. So normally what I would do is I would brave negative 1 or 2 of my tanks or my massive DPSs, and I would keep the actual mages or any support class that I had on the field. I would keep him mainly in the -1 to -2 range. And sometimes I would just default. It's why it's called Bravery Default, because when you go defense in this game, it goes up and not down. So essentially, if you default once, you're at a +1, and then if you brave 3 times, then you only be at a -3, so you only have to go 3. Now, I know a lot of people might think this isn't really a big deal. It is. Because there'll be scenarios in this game where if you brave everyone 4 times, especially against certain bosses, by the time you go again, either your whole team going to be dead or you're going to have one person almost dead. So when you fight these bosses, be very, very clear on what is going to be good for you and what's not going to be good for you. What I really enjoy about this is like the quality of life changes. They got a, quick battle where when you go into the battle, it automatically goes into quick battle. So essentially, like, you'll choose like a pattern of fights and abilities in the actual combat itself that you feel is pretty, if your people are extremely strong at brute force attacks, you just attack a bunch of times. And then what you do is you put it in a system where every time you get into a random encounter from then going forward, they automatically perform this sequence of abilities or attacks in general. So then what would end up happening is you can literally just rush through training and farming because you're able to just run around and you can put a counter up to 200% or down to 50%. Now, I know a lot of people, ask for that. I do think they should let you eliminate the encounters. Here's to me, like, that's a good way of monitoring random encounters to where you can just turn them off at certain aspects. Maybe even if it's not something you get at the beginning of the game, allow me to find something. Now, I didn't do everything in the game, so maybe that was in there somewhere. It could have been. I don't know. But what I really appreciated is even just the 50%. When I would grind, and then I would be like, okay, now I want to really get into this story because it's intriguing to me. You would able to turn that random encounter down to 50% just so you could actually get through some of the dungeons without running into 10, 15 monsters, because you yourself is strong enough. They're just time wasters at that point. That's why I feel like maybe a side quest to let you just eliminate encounters entirely. Final Fantasy is famous for giving you abilities or items or equipment late game in these games to let you just eliminate encounters in general. And I think maybe they should have allowed you to do something like that. Probably not at the beginning of the game, but at least let you do it towards the end or in the middle of the game when you do like a certain ability or something. One thing I will say about this is, like, I really enjoyed it. You had this little mini game of building this town that you grew up in that was destroyed, and that's how you got a lot of the good gear in the game. What you would do is you would assign certain, villagers. You would get villagers as time goes on, and you was able to rebuild this town. I never went to it. Maybe there was a way to get to it that I didn't see, but I myself never went to this sucker, and I think that was a missed opportunity. Maybe towards the end of the game, you can actually physically go to it. That would have been cool. Maybe you could. I just never found it. I don't think it, because I did go around the map a few times. They had a lot of good in-level bosses, a lot of good hidden jobs, good stories on hidden jobs. The game was fun. I put about 50 hours into it. Damn near 60. I put a lot of time into this game. When I got back from Summer Game Fest, I sucked my teeth into this game, and it didn't let go until I beat it. It was one of those games. I know you guys have these games where you play something so much, you feel a little lost without it until you find your next fix. Just totally made myself sound like an addict, but I am gaming addict, so I guess that's on brand. Look, all I have to say about Bravery Default Flying Fairy HD is I love turn-based. Love it. Love turn-based with options. Love it. Bravery Default's worth your money, man. I think it's like $40, $50. I don't know. Like I told you guys, they sent me the code. But I really enjoyed it. I think you can easily get the hours you put into it. If you guys have a Switch too, there's not a whole lot over there to play yet. So I think if you enjoyed turn-based games, and you definitely, especially if you didn't beat the first one, this is a good time to go back to it. Obviously, I feel like they could have made the graphics a little bit more sincere, a little bit more, dark, gritty, little cartoony, little comedish, if you get technical. There wasn't one time I was playing Bravery Default HD that I thought I shouldn't play this. I was addicted the whole time. But I appreciate you for coming through, man. That's my review on Bravery Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster for the Switch 2. Once again, thank you, Square Enix, for the review code. Sorry it took so long. This is a launch title. There's probably not a lot of reviews for this game in general out there. I don't even know how well this video is going to do, because it did come out like a month ago. But I appreciate you for coming through. Guys, enjoy this video. Hit that like button. It's also appreciated. You can always sub to the channel. We make weekly content over here. Definitely go down there and follow me at Twitter or X, whatever you guys want to announce it. Follow me there, Lord Addict ILP. You can follow my streaming channel where I streamed a couple streams of this, fought some in-game bosses, Addict Arena. All that's in the description below. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.